In the economic system, we say that there will be a set of scarce resources. We have different types of resources in the economic system, like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. And we will have a population. So we have resources and we are having a population. And we will have some kind of a social mechanism for allocating resources. Now we have limited resources, we have unlimited wants and needs. So we have a population. Since we are having a population, we will have unlimited wants and needs. And we have limited resources. Now we need to allocate them. In the economic system, we have a social mechanism, either market-based. So market will determine what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. It is determined by the market. I will explain that later. Let's say price. Price will determine everything. What to produce? Price will determine. How to produce? Price will determine. For whom to produce? Price will determine. This is called market-based system. Or there can be centrally planned system. Central planner, the government or the treasury, will decide what to produce, how many tourists to be achieved in 2025. That will be determined by the government as the central planner. So how to produce that amount of tourists, that is also determined by the government. And for whom to produce, again it will be determined by the government. So as a central planner, a central planning body, maybe the minister, maybe a group of people or party leaders get together and decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. This is called centrally planned system. In real world, we have mixed. We don't have pure market-based, pure central plan. At present, we are having mixed economies, where both price mechanism will determine many things. At the same time, government will determine many other things. Example is Sri Lankan economy. Government decide many things. At the same time, market also will determine many other things. So let's see one by one. The first one, the market-based system. So market-based system will determine how the exact amount of goods and services are distributed in the right place, in the right time, with the right quantity. Why I am telling this? You take the case in Sri Lanka. After pandemic, of course, we have a trouble, but just get before the pandemic. Before the pandemic period, before economic crisis, have you seen a very long queues to buy rice? People are waiting in a long queue to buy rice, to buy egg, to buy clothing. Have you seen people are waiting everywhere in the cities? Like if you take Badulla city, have you seen many people are waiting in a long queue to buy the grocery items in front of a grocery or a supermarket? The simple answer is no. People were not waiting in long queues to buy rice, kerosene and clothing and whatever before the pandemic period. And then, have you seen before the crisis, the shop owners, they are throwing away goods and services. Some televisions or, refrigerators, rice, vegetable. Have you seen people are throwing them away in the cities? Telling that we have stocks more than that we can keep. It never happens. So then the question, how exactly the amount of goods and services required? You just take rice. Exactly the amount of rice needed in Badulla was there. How it happened? Who did that? Think seriously. Who did it? Who determined this much of rice? Without any problem. People were not waiting in long queues. And shop owners did not have stock of rice throwing away. This is because exactly it was the amount that needed in the market. So who decided that? Who determined that? Why we had exactly the correct amount in the correct place with the correct time? Because it is the price. Price determined. If there are shortages of rice, what happens? Price increase. When price increase, producers, they tend to produce more. So we got a lot of rice. And when there are a lot of rice, then what happens? Price tend to decrease. When price decrease, people tend to cultivate not paddy, but banana. Right? So exactly the amount of goods and services in the market we had because of the price. So Adam Smith, the father of economics, he said, economy is handled by this invisible hand. Invisible hand is the price. Nobody sees who is determining the correct amount in the correct place. So invisible hand is the price. Price determine. Right? Price transmit information. It provides information among consumers and producers. As I just mentioned, when you are having a shortage of rice, so what happens? Price will increase. Because your demand is higher than the supply, so price goes up. So you have a higher price. That gives a signal to the farmer. Cultivate more paddy because paddy prices are high. And when you have more rice in the market than the requirement, then prices are getting down. Then that gives the signal. It provides the information to the producer. Don't produce more rice now. Rice prices are getting down. On the other hand, for the farmers, for the consumers, when rice prices are high, that gives a signal to the consumers, don't eat rice. Eat wheat instead of rice, because wheat price is cheaper compared to rice. So some people will get away from the market and join with the wheat market. And so demand will be getting decreased. At the same time, if the prices are too low, cheaper, people will demand more and more. So there will be an excess demand. So the price of the good will be increased. Therefore, we say that price transmit information among consumers and the producers. It provides information to the producers as well as consumers. And it provides incentives for the producers as well as consumers. When we are having a higher price, it is an incentive for the producers to produce more. When you are having a higher price, it is an incentive for the consumers not to buy. It's a disincentive. At the same time, when prices are too low, it is a disincentive for the farmers to cultivate paddy. When prices are too low, it is an incentive for the consumers to buy more. So, price will provide incentives for the producers as well as consumers. And price will determine who gets how much. Price will determine who get how much. The people, those who can pay money, they will get more. People, those who cannot pay, they will be not getting any. So that is how market-based system answer the three fundamental questions in economics: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So what to produce? The producers will produce something that can be sold, that would be bought in the market. How to produce? They will determine to produce with the cheapest technology. If labor is available more, like tea industry and garment industry in Sri Lanka, we tend to use labor-intensive mechanism, production processes, because labor is cheaply available. If you take Japan, they are more technology-oriented and capital-intensive. Why they are capital-intensive? They are abundant with capital. They have more capital than the labor. Labor is now limited. So they use capital-intensive technologies. So that says how to produce is answered by price. And for whom to produce, also answered by price. The people, those who can pay, market will produce. Right? For the people, those who cannot pay, they will not be producing. So, if we do not get interfere with the market works perfectly. You take egg at present. So government has a control price, 44 rupees per egg. Now what has happened? Do we have enough eggs in the market? It is not, because now supply is decreased. Domestic supply is decreased. So that tend to increase the price. And that tend to give a signal to the consumers not to buy. So consumers are not buying, producers are supplying less. So we have less amount of egg in the market, so prices are moving up. So when prices are moving up, then again producers will start the production process because their prices are little bit high. As far as we are not getting intervened in the market, market works perfectly. The time that we interfere in the market, of course, that will make a lot of troubles in the market. That tells don't get intervened in the market. We say free market. Later we will discuss that under perfectly competitive market structure. But for the moment, just remember, if we are not getting intervened in the market, market works perfectly. But we cannot conclude like that. This is because sometimes market fails. Even though we believe that market generates the optimum, it will not happen. Sometimes market fails. Like the egg case, rice case in Sri Lanka. Few rice millers decide the price. So market doesn't work freely. There is no government intervention. At the same time, there is an intervention from the private sector. They have colluded. They are getting together and decide the price. Egg market also the same. Artificially, they have raised the price. So we call that as market failures. In some cases, market get failed. Especially when there is no competition. So Adam Smith, who is the father of economics, is Adam Smith. He wrote a book in 1776. Like 250 years ago, Wealth of Nations. We take this as the first economic book. Right? In Wealth of Nations, he said, 250 years ago, he said, people of the same trade seldom meet together. Same trade. Those who are doing the same business, they sit together very seldomly, very rarely. But if they meet, the conversation will end with the conspiracy against the public, maybe to increase the prices. You take the situation with OPEC. We have all fighting between some of the OPEC countries. Time to time, we have big fighting between OPEC countries. But sometimes they sit together and they decide to limit the oil supply. Then what happens? Oil prices will be increased. Because there is no competition, OPEC has the biggest share in the crude oil. So they can change. If OPEC, USA, and maybe China and India get together, they can control the whole crude oil supply of the world. If they sit together, definitely it will be end up with the higher price level. The same in Sri Lanka with the LPG gas. We have laugh and we have share. They are competitors. They never sit together. But when they sit together, next day they announce, we have increased the price. Right? So market fails when there is no competition, as well as market fails to supply the public goods, like street lamps. Street lamps are not provided by the private sector because no one to pay for that. And we cannot exclude the people, those who are not paying. Just imagine you have a street lamp, you are traveling there. You have not paid the tax to the city. But can we say don't go under the lines? We cannot say. We cannot exclude them. Therefore, to provide the public goods, we need the public sector. And we have something called externalities. Those are unintended outcome of our consumption or the production. When externalities are there, we will have a discussion in detail about the externalities later. So anyway, remember, when externalities are there, then we need the intervention from the public. Let's say environmental degradation. One of the externalities in the production process is the environmental degradation. We have negative impact on the environment. Our private sector may not consider that. So then what we do, government will get intervene and make some rules and regulations just to take over these externalities. Technically we say internalization of externalities. We internalize to the price. Later we will learn that, but just remember, market fails when there are externalities. And some cases, market works perfectly, but we are having missing markets. Again, you take the case like environmental degradation, ozone layer protection. Is there a market for ozone layer protection? That we all know we need to protect it. But can we go to the market and say, okay, this is 10,000 rupees, give me some part of ozone layer? That market is missing. We don't have a market for that. Then we need the public sector to get intervened in the free market. So later we will discuss this. And the next one is centrally planned system. Centrally planned system is very much easier. It is nothing to do with the price. It is the central planner, either the minister or the president or the central bank, some people in the treasury, policy making body, they decide. Or in some cases like in the communist parties, the communist party, they decide what to produce, how to produce and for whom to produce. What to produce, they may go for the things that needed in a country, right? Not the highest price. They don't worry about the price. They worry about the satisfaction of the people. How to produce? They will go for the most available resource in the country. If labor endowed, then they will go for labor intensive production. If capital endowed more, they will be going for capital intensive. And for whom to produce, they don't worry about the people, those who can pay or those who cannot pay. They will produce entirely for the country. Everyone will get the same. If you know about former Soviet Union, the Russian Federation countries, and China in history, not now, and Cuba to some extent even now, the central planner or the government decide what to produce, how to produce and for whom to produce. But in reality, we don't see central planner, pure central planning or pure market base. Usually, we are getting a mixed system between centrally planned and market base. Some countries like USA, Japan, Singapore, they are more towards the market base. Central planning there, government will determine some of the economic activities, but many activities price will be determined. If you take China, Cuba, and Russian Federation, or the presently Russia, many of the decisions are made by the government. The central decision-making body determine what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And price also there. And price will provide signal to the consumers as well as producers. But it is more towards the central planner. So we say these are more towards central planning. Therefore, remember, in reality, it is mixed. Very final point. Even in the perfectly working market-based systems like USA or Singapore or Japan, we have state with the market failures, which are called non-market institutions. The government, for the market failures, government get intervened. The state get intervened. So it is a non-market institution, which is supporting to the market to work better, like regulatory bodies. In Sri Lanka, we have Telecommunication Regulatory Commission. So that commission will oversee the behavior in the telecommunication sector, which is now nicely playing. Prices are so decreased. Resources are very much available. Technologies are very much improved. It is because we have the state-owned TRC, Telecommunication Regulatory Commission. So government get intervened in the market with the market failures as a non-market institution. Then property rights, the ownership rights, right? The legal rights provided to the citizens in the country are very much important. So it is coming as a non-market institution for the betterment of the market operation. Market work perfectly if we have the property rights. If we don't have property rights, of course, market doesn't work. So then we have market failures because the resource ownership is not defined. If you have 1 acre of one plot with 1 acre of plot, then you decide. Because ownership is with you, you decide how to produce, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. If it is not given, if we do not have the property rights, then we cannot make those decisions because no one responsible for the consumption. So everyone put all these. So then property rights will come as a non-market institution. And finally, force groups. We say consumer societies. If you watch television news, you find there are many consumer societies, right? The egg society and transport, so bus user society, train user society, and there are many societies. These are called consumer societies. We have consumer societies as force groups in the market economy. So market works freely. At the same time, consumer societies get intervened. They say the price is so high, why don't you reduce the price? Likewise, they do their bargaining. Right? So these are called non-market institutions.